Recently, I got a text from someone in my mastermind. I've only written so little of my book and already feel like it's changed the way I think and write in my newsletter. I noticed different things and where parts can be improved. That really hit me today. Exploding mind emoji. I smiled at the message not because I was surprised, but because it's the exact pattern that plays out in nearly every person I've seen write a book. They all think they're writing a book about their expertise. Turns out the book is rewriting them. Now, here's what most people talk about when they pitch you on writing a book: authority, credibility, speaking gigs, higher fees, lead generation, a calling card that opens doors. All true, but that's like talking about marriage only in terms of tax benefits. Obviously, there can be financial benefits if you write a good book, keyword good. And since most people think about this aspect first, here's an inside look at my book numbers. I released my first book, You Are the Brand, in July 2021. At the time, I had 14,465 email subscribers. Two guiding principles I follow regarding that. Generally, you should make $1 per email subscriber in monthly recurring revenue. This is a sign of overall health regarding your email list, your offers, and your marketing. Now, obviously, not every person is going to pay you $1. The idea is that your offers should total that amount. All right, point number 2, expect about 1 to 10% of your email list to buy your book the week it releases. I know that sounds really low, but here's why. Once books are out, they're out. There's very little scarcity you can build into a book launch. This is why you often see authors offer a bunch of bonuses if you pre-order the book. And there's nothing wrong with this, of course. It's because all orders made before the book comes out count towards sales made in the first week. Since most sales will likely happen on launch week, it gives the book a better chance to hit a bestseller list that week. And I'm all for this strategy. It's just common sense. Okay, so no sweat there. Now, with my numbers at that time, there was no way I was going to hit a bestseller list. And I really wanted to hit the Wall Street Journal and USA Today lists. And at the time, I was told I needed to sell about 6,000 copies in launch week to hit it. That's a lot. So that's where my friends with email lists came into play. I stewarded good relationships with colleagues through the years, so I called in favors. They all came through for me, promoting my book to their email lists, interviewing me on their podcasts, and even endorsing my book. So if you plan to release a book, it would be in your best interest to, number 1, grow your email list. Number 2, create launch bonuses to spike pre-orders. And number 3, make friends with people who have good email lists. 2 out of those 3 take time and foresight. I think you're smart enough to figure out which 2. Now, let's look at my post-book launch numbers. None of this would have happened without the momentum and excitement around my book. I made $100,000 from certifying people in the methods of my book. I made $150,000 from a 6-month coaching program 2 months after my book released based on the book. 6 months after my book launched, I had 33,268 email subscribers, up from about 14,000. So it more than doubled. And I hit the Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller list. Number 4 on Wall Street Journal. I was outsold by 3 books that came out that same week, all about Trump. And number 63, I think it was, on USA Today. Now, USA Today is different because that's all books everywhere. Wall Street Journal is just about business books. So to hit that high on USA Today was pretty cool. I also believe I think I hit number 12 on all of Amazon, like that launch week. So that was kind of wild. So these are credentials no one will ever be able to take away from me. I'm a best-selling author for the rest of my life, especially on Wall Street Journal and USA Today, and I am not shy about sharing that. Now, as of this recording, You Are the Brand has 415 Amazon reviews and 253 ratings on Goodreads. The book is still outperforming the industry average. It's said that about 1% of readers leave reviews, maybe even less than that. So I interpret that as I wrote a good book. I earned engagement from readers, so much so that they're willing to write unsolicited, honest reviews. Now, I don't have a perfect score, but I don't want a perfect score. I want an honest score. Okay, so that's where I sit. Now, this is like the second or third time I've used the phrase, quote, good book. So let's unpack that. One of the best pieces of advice I got was from Jeff Goins, who simply told me, write a good book, dude. Now, he's a friend, but I hired him. There's a lesson there. You hire your friends, okay, so they do their best work for you. I hired him to give my manuscript a quick look and walk me through how to make the book better. And on one of the calls, he said something like, dude, right now, your book is a B. That'll be good enough for everyone around you. Your publisher will urge you to print it. Your friends and family will be proud of you. Your audience will probably like it. You'll maybe hit a list, maybe you won't, but it's a B. If you put in the extra 5% of effort to make it an A or A minus, then you'll have 2 launches. The first one when it launches, and another launch a few months later when people have actually finished reading it and start sharing it with others. Now, Jeff is the kind of guy you want critiquing your stuff if you've got the skin for it. He's contrarian, he's snobby with his preferences in art, music, and writing. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He's also sold a lot of books. So after we got off the phone, I moseyed on down to a Key West dive bar. I think I ordered a stiff drink and probably cursed him off a bit in my head because I knew he was right. He's a friend, so he knew how to talk to me. I'm the kind of guy that prefers to get chewed out by a coach who tells the truth rather than be flattered and get a participation medal. I blame my freshman year basketball coach for this. All right. So since I got enough B's in high school, I decided to do my best to make my book an A. I renamed chapters to make them sound more enticing. I changed the title of the book a few times and finally landed on You Are the Brand. And I took creative control of the artwork. Now, these days, I rarely push the book. Marketing it is typically more passive, like soft mentions on my newsletter or show notes here on YouTube or my podcast. But the book still sells and still gets reviews. You might hear all this and think, easy for you, Mike. You were already somewhat known in your industry when your book came out. Fair. But the better question is, why was I somewhat known in my industry in the first place? Because I grew an email list. And it's through that list I created content that others connected with, which made it easier for me to get noticed by other experts in my industry who then helped me promote my book. All right, so everyone wants the benefits of online marketing. Very few are willing to do online marketing. That said, not every book has to be some epic bestseller. Last fall, I co-wrote a book in a completely different niche, and my partner and I self-published it. The TAM, total addressable market, wasn't large enough to warrant going through a publisher or trying to hit a bestseller list other than Amazon, which we did. And I won't share specific numbers since this is co-owned IP, but we've built a membership of several hundred monthly members, and it keeps trending upward. This is in a category that probably shouldn't be doing that well. And I can say that many people I know would be thrilled to have a membership our size. Credit goes to the book and a YouTube channel based on, you guessed it, the stuff in the book. A good book enables your IP, your intellectual property, to compound. It clarifies your thinking so sharply that everything else you build becomes more valuable. I will die on this hill. Writing a good book will never be bad for your business. If you write a good book, you earn the right to speak into the lives of others. The way to do this is by stress testing your book with real people. This is what I try to inspire in the people who've hired me to be on them, get on their case about getting their books done. Sometimes I have to drag them by the collar to do it, but that is my job. You as the author, you're going to feel 100 times more confident getting feedback from a real person versus freaking AI or just looking over your notes all the time. You have to properly stress test your ideas. If you do so, it will deepen your belief in your own work. Real people force you to defend your thinking, refine your frameworks, and discover what you actually believe when you're challenged. You also need people outside your target market so they can look at things with fresh eyes. That's what I did with Jeff and also with Todd Herman, the best-selling author of The Alter Ego Effect. Now, Todd is not in authoring. He's not in marketing. He's great at it, but he comes from the high-performance world, the mental performance world. And he has seen all sorts of models, all sorts of rubrics and frameworks. And so I hired Todd for several hours of one-on-one coaching. We got through a few calls early on, and then I went dark for 6 months. And after a little while, he sent me a text. Hey, are we still good? I haven't heard from you in a really long time. So I hit him back and I said, yeah, we're good, man. You told me to write a book. I'm writing it. I will circle back when I'm ready. So when I had most of the manuscript done, I used my hours with Todd very strategically. I asked for a half-day block and said, hey, I want to show you the graphics and the frameworks in my book. I don't want you to read the whole thing, but I'm going to talk you through it. And I want you to challenge them. I want you to break them. I want you to play devil's advocate. Show me why these things don't work, what's wrong, what's missing, and what might be good and can be improved upon. That was some of the most valuable time I had in refining the book. And since I had a few hours left on my balance, even after that half day, I made another request to Todd. I said, instead of using the rest of my time for coaching calls, would you be open to spending some of that time writing the foreword to my book and maybe giving me 30 minutes to record a bonus interview for the audiobook? And Todd said yes to both. Now, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I will. I think that was pretty smart. I think that was pretty strategic. So I hope that inspires you in some way for thinking through, how do I use coaches? How do I work with the people who are advising me? Now, all this talk about stress testing your ideas and earning the right to speak to people through your ideas, it's connected to something I learned doing Muay Thai, kickboxing. You can't just cover up when punches come. You have to counterpunch. The goal in a fight isn't to escape unscathed. You're going to eat punches. You're going to miss attacks. You're going to miss blocks. That's a huge part of getting better. It's the same thing with writing your book. You can't just privately think your way to clarity. You got to get in the ring. You got to spar. You have to put something out there and let it get hit, let it get tested, see where it holds up and where it falls apart. You got to spar with better fighters. If you do this, you go from someone who's been hiding half-baked ideas to someone who can confidently stand in front of a room of strangers. You have conviction because you move from vague concepts to concrete examples. You discover who you actually are and what you're actually capable of. No wonder writing a good book is good for business. Authors who constantly promote their books, they do it because they've done this type of work. They actually believe in their book. The book was transformative to write. They paid a steep price, not just financially, but in terms of time and energy and struggling with their thoughts and digging up stories in their own life. And in doing research, they put their best work into it. Contrast that with a lot of other people who are typically shy about promoting their work. I think it's because deep down, they know they didn't give it their best effort. That hesitation tells you everything. So your book becomes a container that forces you to organize everything you've been carrying around in your head. A book demands coherence. It requires you to actually know what you believe and why you believe it. So you earn the right to speak by being willing to be the crash test dummy first. You give permission for others to be vulnerable when they read your work by you being vulnerable first. Now, one more point. You can't unbecome the person who wrote your book. The book you need to write is the one that forces you to become the person who can truly embody it. What version of yourself has to emerge for that book to exist? What old version needs to say goodbye? What kind of commitment are you willing to make to do the rare and unusual thing of authoring a good book? Now, I've written 3 books. I've ghostwritten 1, and I've done developmental editing on another. All have been hit titles in their niches. They all grew businesses and brands, but most importantly, they all help the author, whether me or someone else, step into a higher level of wisdom, wealth, and meaning. Writing books has slowed me down, but in a good way. I read more these days. I scroll less. I think more carefully about what I believe and why I believe it. An example of this, recently I discovered that there were a few books written about my paternal grandfather. He was part of a religious organization. To be honest, many think it was a cult. And he was a key player in that organization. He was the president of their seminary for decades. And on a recent vacation, I read through one of those books. It was transcribed from his speeches and interviews and shed some light on his life story. Now, I don't agree with Grandpa's views, but reading his words connected me to him across time and distance. I saw how he saw the world. It helped me understand my lineage. I could also see where I inherited some of my abilities in writing and speaking. I could see how it influenced my dad, his son. And that's what books do. They let us speak to people we'll never meet across generations that we'll never see. So you can't unbecome the person who wrote your book. The clarity, the struggle, the refinement, it stays with you. As a result of writing books, I have changed my pace for the better. My worth isn't measured in speed or youth or someone else's milestones. It's in the clarity I've earned, the people I've shaped, the work that bears my fingerprints. Alignment has become greater than money. And it's all because I've done the difficult work of making things simple for myself and for others. This is the higher path. All right, first, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot to me if you would like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. It helps me get word out about what I'm sharing here. And if you ever want to revisit or read the content that I share here on these videos, you can just subscribe to the newsletter, mikekim.com/newsletter. We'll have a link right there. It's also right inside the show notes here. And I will email this out to you. And finally, if you're interested in writing a book, you feel a pull, you feel a call. First, I hope that you can hear what I'm saying, not just hear, but feel what I'm saying. That this isn't just about making money or growing your brand or doing something that's good for business. This is a transformative process. And this is what I want to really guide you through. We can write great books. We can take your stories and we can unpack them and really showcase the wisdom that you have that is worth sharing. And I believe that everyone has wisdom worth sharing. And if you're interested in walking through this process with me, I want you to go to mikekim.com/write your book. That link is going to be open anytime, whether you're watching this video the day it comes out or you are tuning in years and years later. But if you're watching or listening to this the week that I published it, I'm going to be hosting an open house where I will share with you details on an upcoming book intensive accelerator that I'm going to be hosting to help you do exactly what I talked about in this video. So go to mikekim.com/write your book. And if you're watching this at a different time later on down the road, you'll see some resources there on that page. Write your book. Okay. You will never, ever, ever regret it. It's going to be one of the most meaningful things that you do in your life. Give it your best shot. All right. Talk soon.